Welcome to a sacred journey where the light of the divine guides our hearts and souls. Selected 1. Now that they are finally realizing that this was all a setup, but not for you, not for them. They are so horrified that their entire world is collapsing before their eyes. They are now frantically trying to figure out how someone they attempted to defeat became completely invincible, how someone they attempted to dull became dazzlingly brilliant, and how someone they attempted to break became unbreakable. Therefore, make an informed decision, because the universe is going to demonstrate for you what happens when those who are selected realize who they truly are. Every moment of your battle, every betrayal you've experienced, and every attempt to shatter your spirit has been orchestrated by a cosmic setup, you see. The purpose of this setup was to expose them, not to trap you. The same devastating realization is currently being experienced by everyone who attempted to dim your light, who put in extra effort to persuade you that you were somehow false or fraudulent, and who devoted numerous hours to trying to make you question your own greatness. They are realizing that you are magnificently real. It is nearly impossible for the irony to be accidental. The universe was covertly planning the most exquisite reversal in the history of spiritual warfare, while they were occupied with crafting intricate stories about how you were the con artist, the one who couldn't be trusted, and how you were in some way harmful or dishonest to others. The cosmic ledger was meticulously recording every lie they spoke about you, every rumor they disseminated through their networks, and every deliberate effort to keep you away from individuals who could see your actual value. When they tried to break you down methodically, when they tried to make you feel like you couldn't exist without their approval or validation, when they worked tirelessly to convince you that wanting better for yourself was somehow selfish or wrong, you refused to be broken. Your response to their manipulation revealed something about your character that even you might not have fully understood until now. In the history of the evolution of consciousness, you delivered them what can only be called the most graceful spiritual rejection. The universe was actually executing the setup they believed they were running on you, and their spiritual systems are currently experiencing panic as a result of this realization. Every time they attempted to rekindle your old patterns of insecurity, every time they tried to cast doubt on your own abilities and value, and every manipulation technique they used from their toolbox of psychological warfare, it was all done to reveal their true selves while also strengthening your resolve in the face of spiritual change. The diploma you received is written in the language of unwavering self-worth, and they were unwittingly taking part in your graduation ceremony from their school of limitation. They have been watching your rise as supporting characters in a story they have never understood, and they aren't even aware of it yet. They weren't giving instructions. Take a minute to consider this news, since the ramifications are profound. These individuals who professed to be concerned about your welfare, who presented themselves as your counselors, guardians, and worried friends, were actually energy vampires who had been consuming your light for much longer than you knew. They had persuaded you that your innate optimism was in some ways foolish, that your optimistic outlook was unrealistic, and that your refusal to wallow in pessimism was a weakness that required improvement. They led you to feel that displaying genuine happiness was suspect, and that staying upbeat indicated that you were acting or being false. They put in a lot of effort to persuade you that your spiritual abilities were fictitious, that your intuitive perceptions were hallucinations, and that your capacity to see beyond their narrow perspective was a symptom of instability. The universe, however, was wiser. The cosmos was aware that your optimism was prophetic rather than naive. Your pleasant energy was the most genuine manifestation of your genuine self that was piercing their training. It wasn't false. If you send us a super thank you of $20, it is the first grain of blessing that falls on the soil of hope. Over time, it becomes a tree that bears fruit in someone's life. The cosmic joke is that the universe was getting ready to reveal to them that you were just as amazing as you seemed, while they were busy attempting to convince everyone that you were too good to be true. The universe was establishing divine connections that would honor and magnify your gifts beyond their worst fears, while they were working nonstop to make others afraid to be engaged with you. The world was getting ready to surround you with a soul tribe that would see your worth right away, while they were trying to keep you apart from your spiritual family. Furthermore, there's little doubt that some of the individuals who have been working against you are now frantically attempting to win back your favor, and their anxiety is evident. They are beginning to see that their attempts to control you have backfired so spectacularly that they have really made you stronger in every way. They attempted to use spell work to weaken you, but it immediately returned to them with compound interest. The negative energy they sent your way came back to them threefold, along with the spiritual fallout from their deeds. They are currently suffering with the results of the seeds they sowed in your garden after the mayhem they attempted to inflict on your life ended up right in their own backyard. They're afraid because they're starting to realize that you were always their mirror, not their enemy. You were giving them a mirror image of everything they wanted to be, but were scared to pursue. Their phoniness was exposed by your genuineness. Their manipulation was exposed by your sincerity. With uncomfortably clear clarity, your spiritual development exposed their spiritual stagnation. They wanted to destroy you because you were real and your truth made it impossible for them to keep up their illusions, not because you were a phony. Your existence served as a continual reminder of what they were refusing to become, and they could not bear to think about it. The most exquisite aspect of this entire cosmic arrangement is witnessing how you have responded to every assault, treachery, and effort to shatter your spirit. You have transformed yourself by using their negativity as fuel rather than letting it poison your nature. Each assault they made on you served as a springboard for your spiritual development. The universe used every falsehood they spread about you as a chance to make your truth unavoidable. Every attempt to shatter you turned into an opportunity to learn how unbreakable you truly are. You've conquered addictions. They attempted to rekindle not only substance addictions, but also addictions to their validation, acceptance, and constrained ideas of what your life might be. You've broken free from the habits they attempted to confine you to, such as self-doubt, settling for less than you deserve, and lowering your light to appease others. You've overcome the restrictions they attempted to persuade you were unbreakable. Restrictions on your prosperity, happiness, spirituality, and freedom to be who you truly are. By doing this, you've turned into a living example of how their control over you was never real. They only ever had the authority you granted them, and as soon as you revoked that power, their whole strategy fell apart like a house of cards in a hurricane. You already know the game is rigged, don't you? And you can tell the walls are closing in if you're listening. Let's discuss our current course of action. People desire to be heard, to be held, to be dealt a fair hand when they live their lives at the mercy of the market, where property and profit dominate the land. We also hear you. There are paywalls for the Obsidian Inner Order. Yes, those who support us and provide us with ammo to battle the Archons, resist the machine, go deeper, and find more. As a thank you, we also give our paying members access to a weekly, 1-hour live, personalized group tarot reading, which provides direction, understanding, and clarity for the future. However, kicking a man for lying on the ground? There is no way we can overlook that. Because of this, the Astral Atom exclusive daily email is now available for free, with no catch or paywall. Simply click the link in the description to sign up for the Patreon free tier. Our dialogue with you has begun, and it will be reciprocal. Any email we send you can be replied to. We'll listen, we'll read it, and we'll try our best to get the universe to respond. We need your help, if you can. Take what is free if you are unable to. The Inner Order of Obsidian is open. If your heart is moved to give $50, that love carries the good news to the world that God says, it is a greater joy to give than to receive. Let's resume our work now. You're thriving because of them, not just surviving their attempts to ruin you. Your life has never been better than it is right now. Your spiritual practices have never been more potent. You have a stronger bond than ever before with your forefathers and mentors. You have more power than ever to bring your aspirations to life. Your happiness is more profound. Your tranquility is deeper. Your affection is broader. Additionally, your power is more genuine than it has ever been in your life. And all of this occurred because of them, not in spite of their attacks. The universe used their limitations as inspiration for your growth, their doubt as fuel for your faith, and their negativity as a catalyst for your transformation. The universe reminded you of your cosmic significance each time they attempted to make you feel unimportant. The universe provided you with fresh chances to prove your might each time they attempted to cast doubt on your talents. The cosmos would always send you people who would see your value right away, even if they tried to convince you that you were alone. With mathematical accuracy, the predictions you made that made them laugh are coming to pass. In ways that cannot be contested, reality is confirming the intuitive insights they rejected as fantasy. Even doubters are unable to refute the manifestation of the spiritual gifts they attempted to tell you were fictitious. They are watching it unfold with a mix of disbelief, rage, and reluctant respect as the life you envisioned, which they labeled impossible, becomes your daily experience. Now that you're stepping into your full potential, they understand that they were never in control of someone who was meant to break free, rise above, and become all they were attempting to keep you from becoming. They were interacting with a chosen one who was merely recalling who they really were, and no amount of manipulation could stop that recall. With the hope that a mere sorry will somehow undo the months or years of manipulation, gaslighting, and spiritual warfare they committed against you. Some of them are now frantically attempting to apologize. To bring you back into your energy field, they are promising you agreements, settlements, improved treatment promises, and more. But you've changed too much for them. Your frequency is higher than theirs. There is no way to return to that state of awareness once you have left their chaotic classroom. The hilarious thing is that they believe they can use the same strategies that used to work to control you. They are attempting to capitalize on your compassion, sensitivity, and innate desire to support the development and healing of others. They are trying to make you feel bad for being successful, for being content, and for not continuing to live in the dysfunction that they favored. However, you now know the difference between manipulative performance and true need. Like a laser through smoke, your spiritual perception pierces through their deceit. Additionally, you've learned something they never intended you to know. Your love is holy. Your presence is a gift. Your energy is important. And your insights are priceless. You don't owe these gifts to anyone who doesn't value them. To make other people feel at ease, you don't have to shrink. Making others feel better about their darkness doesn't mean you have to lower your brightness. To make room for their stagnation, you don't need to slow down your own development. Your metamorphosis is being celebrated by those who are supposed to be in your life. They are thrilled with your development. Your bravery inspires them. Your example serves as motivation for them. Your achievement energizes them rather than endangers them. They regard your happiness as contagious rather than as artificial. They see your optimism as wisdom gained through adversity rather than as naivete. They were the ones who always recognized you as authentic. These individuals have been waiting for you to recollect your true self. These individuals are aware that your abilities are not supposed to be concealed. Your light is not meant to be subdued, and your power is not intended to be limited. These individuals are aware that your achievement enhances rather than devalues them. This is the point at which the cosmic arrangement reaches its most exquisite conclusion. You are entering a world where you are respected, honored, and supported, while your former manipulators are facing the repercussions of their deeds, going through the spiritual reckoning they forced upon themselves, and witnessing the real-time unraveling of their lies. When you give $100, not only we bear witness, but the sky bears witness. You are now one of those who are a bridge to heaven. Opportunities that are a great fit for your expanded consciousness are being brought to you by the universe. The divine is putting you in touch with people who value you right away. To make sure that every door that needs to open for you swings wide, and every door that needs to close solidly behind you, your ancestors and guides are putting in extra effort. You're finding that everything else in your life goes more easily when you eliminate poisonous influences. You become much more creative. Your intuition becomes razor-sharp. Your capacity for manifestation increases beyond your wildest expectations. Your happiness grows and spreads like wildfire. Your tranquility grows into an indestructible base. Your love broadens to include aspects of life you were unaware of. The negative people in your life were obstructing the flow of the gifts that the universe was always attempting to give you. You're living in harmony with your actual self, now that those obstacles have been lifted, and you're recalling what it's like to be around others who value your genuineness. You're finding the delight of sharing your gifts without worrying about criticism or sabotage, rather than attempting to change it. People are finding it difficult to reconcile the person you've become with the person they believed they knew, since the shift is so complete. You have a different energy. There's something distinctive about you. You have different answers. You have changed from being someone who was easily influenced, subdued, or broken down to someone who is unshakable, unstoppable, and unbeatable. The true shock that is rippling throughout the spiritual world is this. You not only survived their attempts to destroy you, but you also used their attacks as fuel to transform yourself. Not only did you get out of their web of control, but you also used it as a springboard for your rise. Not only did you overcome their constraints, but you also shattered them to such an extent that they can never be rebuilt. The chosen ones among us transform challenges into opportunities, rather than merely overcoming them. They turn betrayal into wisdom rather than merely surviving it. They transform manipulation into mastery rather than merely avoiding it. And you've done just that. You've become a living example of what occurs when someone chooses not to let the darkness break them. You now serve as evidence that real power cannot be permanently repressed. You are now the proof that, despite everyone else's attempts to persuade them to be someone else, the world always supports people who dare to be authentically themselves. The particular ways that their deception backfired on them are what add even more depth to this entire cosmic orchestration. Do you recall their attempts to discredit your spiritual abilities as a figment of your imagination? The cosmos was paying close attention when they termed your prophetic visions delusions and ridiculed your intuitive insights. Every time they discredited your psychic abilities, every time they attempted to cast doubt on your spiritual connection, every time they tried to convince you that your psychic perceptions were merely wishful thinking, the universe was getting ready to prove you right in ways that would leave no room for question. Even the naysayers are now forced to recognize your talents because your forecasts are coming true with such accuracy. The warnings you issued, which they disregarded, are coming to pass just as you predicted. The things you mentioned that they wrote off as fantasy are now being validated by events beyond their control. Your spiritual gifts are not merely coming back. Rather, they are growing stronger than they were prior to their meddling. Compared to when you were with them, your talents function better now. Their presence in your life seemed to be interfering with your innate powers by producing spiritual static. Your link to the divine realm became very evident the instant you took them out of your energy field. Finally, you could communicate with your ancestors and spirit guides without being distracted by their negativity. For the first time in years, your psychic powers came into their own. They're witnessing you exhibit spiritual strength they never thought was conceivable. And they're coming to the realization that their efforts to repress your skills were actually keeping them from seeing something truly remarkable. A gift of $30 is a contemporary echo of Christ's compassion in feeding the hungry. The more you give, the more God multiplies. They were in the front row of a spiritual awakening that would have gone down in history, but they attempted to undermine it rather than encourage it. They are now seeing you from a distance as you assume abilities they would have been fortunate enough to see firsthand. The irony is nearly flawless. You are displaying genuine spiritual power that makes their own attempts at manipulation seem like amateur work. They have spent so much time attempting to convince you that you are not who you claim to be, that your gifts are not genuine, and that your spiritual experiences are merely fantasy. Realizing that they were surrounded by true spiritual monarchy and that they should have treated you like a peasant. They are witnessing you manifest worlds they could only imagine. However, cosmic justice goes beyond that. It is increasingly hard to ignore the manner in which the cosmos is revealing their own spiritual emptiness. Their own spiritual practices are producing nothing but frustration, while your gifts are growing. Their own demands to the cosmos are being met with deafening silence, while your prayers are being fulfilled with remarkable speed. Their personal circumstances are growing more chaotic and unsatisfying, while your life is changing in lovely and plentiful ways. They're starting to realize that they were targeting someone who was protected by God, not just a human being. They were messing with a cosmic scheme that was well beyond their comprehension, not only controlling a single person. They were seeking to repress a chosen one who had a purpose in this world, not merely manipulate another human being. Furthermore, the cosmos would never permit that suppression to last forever. This whole drama has been played out in the spiritual sphere, and the verdict is in. Every test they gave you passed. Every time you had the option of being resentful, but decided to be compassionate instead. Every circumstance in which you had the option of taking retribution, but instead decided to forgive. You turned down every chance to help them feel more at ease by dimming your light. You gracefully rejected every temptation to compromise your standards in order to live up to their expectations. Even your forefathers and guides have been impressed by your spiritual growth. They have seen you turn suffering into strength, respond to deception with discernment, and deal with betrayal with dignity. They have witnessed you uphold your moral principles in circumstances where most people would have done otherwise. They have seen you repeatedly choose truth over convenience, development over stagnation, and love over fear. They are now creating a reality for you that corresponds with the level of spiritual advancement you have attained. Opportunities that precisely match your new frequency are being rolled out by the cosmos. The supernatural is bringing about relationships that will strengthen and magnify your mission in this world, opening doors that were previously unseen, and laying out roads that go straight to your best good. The new individuals in your life are not merely supporters. They are fellow chosen ones who instantly identify your spiritual signature. They are people who can relate to your path, since they have had their own transformations. They are souls that recognize that your gifts are sacred instruments to be revered and guarded, not merely talents to be appreciated. With cosmic accuracy and divine timing, these new links are emerging. Someone who understands your spiritual language shows up just when you need support. A mentor who has been on the same path as you appears just when you need help. Partners who share your vision and beliefs appear just when you need them. It's hard to attribute the universe's support system surrounding you to coincidence because it is so flawless, well-timed, and tailored to your needs. As all of this is going on, your former manipulators are becoming increasingly desperate. Instead of attempting to stifle your gifts, they see you surrounded by people who appreciate them. They're seeing you get the credit, admiration, and respect you never received. They're seeing you succeed in settings they never gave you, prosper in connections they never helped you build, and accomplish goals they never encouraged. Some of them are now attempting to claim credit for your change, saying that their pressure strengthened you, that their difficulties aided in your development, and that their resistance was somehow essential to your development. However, this desperate attempt to change history is exposed by the universe. In actuality, you were stronger in spite of, not as a result of, their meddling. It was not under their direction that you developed past their restrictions. Not with their help, but in defiance of their repression, you rose to prominence. It is evident from the spiritual world that they were challenges to be surmounted rather than educators to be honored. They were not light to be pursued, but darkness to be overcome. They were not wisdom to be received, but chaos to be changed. If you give a thank you gift of $75, it will be the first drop of rain that falls right in the center of a thirsty heart. And their part in your story is over now that you finished changing. They were there to provide contrast, to show you what you were destined to overcome, what you didn't want to become, and what you refused to accept. Some of them are currently going through what can only be called a spiritual crisis, where they are doubting everything they believe to be true about relationships, truth, power, and success. They question whether they have been conducting their entire lives in accordance with essentially faulty ideals. They're beginning to suspect that perhaps, just possibly, your way of living was always the right one. They are experiencing a really uncomfortable kind of spiritual vertigo as a result of this awareness. Being the ones who were more knowledgeable, had it figured out, and were qualified to evaluate and mentor others was the foundation of their entire identity. They are now witnessing you exhibit a degree of knowledge, strength, and fulfillment that totally challenges their perspective. There are even those of them who are starting to ask themselves the same questions they ought to have years ago. What if they were mistaken about you? What if your optimism was prophetic rather than naive? What if your spiritual gifts were actual skills rather than illusions? What if your life's purpose was not impossible but rather unavoidable? What if you were being sensible rather than stubborn by refusing to acknowledge their limitations? Uncomfortable realities are starting to leak through the holes these queries are making in the basis of their existence. They're beginning to realize that their attempts to manipulate you were a direct result of their own fears. Their criticism of your skills was a projection of their own spiritual emptiness, and they're starting to see this. They're seeing that their attempts to impede your development were really manifestations of their own anxiety about falling behind. By utilizing their own behavior as a mirror, the universe is revealing sides of them that they were unable to face. Now, all of the lies they told about you are coming back to them as facts about who they are. Now, every constraint they attempted to place on you is showing up as a limitation in their own lives. They are now coming to realize their own spiritual state as a result of every attack they made on your character. This is the pinnacle of divine justice in action. Instead of punishing them individually, the cosmos merely permitted their own energy to multiply and return to them. By their own decisions, they brought about their own outcomes. Through their own views, they made their own limitations visible. By their own deeds, they brought about their own anarchy. You are currently living in the reality they attempted to keep you from accessing, while they are living in the reality they attempted to construct for you. The seclusion they attempted to force upon you is being felt by them. They are experiencing the uncertainty they attempted to engender in you. The constraints they attempted to persuade you of were permanent are causing them difficulty. The cosmic arrangement is finished. There is no denying the revelation. The change cannot be reversed. And now everyone who has ever questioned your sincerity, questioned your value, or attempted to dim your light must face the reality. You were always who you claimed to be. You were always as strong as you thought you were. You were worth as much as you thought you were. More than that, though, you were always meant to be what you are now. This change was inevitable rather than merely a possibility. Your victory was already encoded in the cosmic code by the universe. Even before they began their first attack, you were certain to defeat their deception. Even before they even thought of trying to break you, your ascent to real power was set in stone. What was always going to come out could never be permanently suppressed by them. With their bare hands, they were attempting to contain the water. With their shadows, they were attempting to stifle the sun. With their whispers, they were attempting to quiet the thunder. The forces they were trying to sabotage were far more potent than their narrow-minded plans. It has come to light that those who attempted to set you up were actually the ones being set up. The universe utilized their negativity to spur your development, their attacks to fortify your resolve, and their lies to expose your truth. They were merely supporting characters in a much larger drama about spiritual development, genuine power, and the unstoppable force of someone who refuses to be anything less than their amazing self, even though they believed they were authoring your story. The cosmos always prevails, and you are live evidence of that. You serve as proof that real power cannot be permanently repressed. You are proof that no matter what barriers are put in their way, those who are selected will always find their way to their destiny. You are the proof that love always triumphs over fear. Honesty always triumphs over deceit, and light always triumphs over darkness. Pick carefully. Pick one. All you need to do is keep being who you are, and the universe will give you everything you have ever desired. This completes the cosmic arrangement that was intended to reveal your adversaries and raise your consciousness. Your change cannot be undone. There is no denying your power. You have won. Wait until they see what you do. The shock they're feeling is only the beginning.